All righty, the loudest applause you've ever given in a church. After I say the next two words, let's hear you do it. Or 4, 5. Ladies and gentlemen, Ken Alexandrow.
Yeah, thanks, Jimmy. The next sound you hear will be you all leaving when my buzzer goes off. All right, team. So I got some great questions and some amendments I'm going to make because I was corrected on something and it was really important. But somebody asked, what's all that glass doing on the ground at Centennial High School in Franklin? I have a vested interest. My wife is a principal in Williamson County in the elementary school. She has 1,000 kids that she has to protect. And 100% do I agree that you have to have some type of laminate on your doors, on your glass, okay? Something that I need you to know is, at least in the state of Tennessee, every year there's a $25 million grant for faith-based organizations to get free laminate, cameras, generators, anything to do with safety. They will not give you training. You can get hired security guards. They'll pay for it. One of my clients got $180,000 in Memphis. My synagogue got $190,000. One got $85,000. Okay? You just have to. What's important is the company that I use. They write the grant for you. They write the grant for you. So just know there is I can't say every state. Just check. There are faith-based grants out there that the states are putting out. Like I said, there's $25 million in the state of Tennessee that we don't ever give enough. We have surplus of every year. Check on that. And I remember the officer. He said he did grant writing. He got real big into grant writing. Fantastic. And it's free money. You don't pay it back. It's free money. So, but this right here. Every school, we have 50 schools in Williamson County. Every school in that county from 7 feet in every glass door and window is covered in laminate. Again, the goal is to keep bad out. But this picture here is of a young man that we moved the truck. He was 17 years old. He got mad about his fall semester grades. And on January 15th, just before school came back into session in 2023, I was in Morristown, Tennessee, doing a job. And he drove his pickup truck through the narthex of the school. What's interesting, though, what I want you to know, by the way, you see the broken glass? That was 9 feet. You see panels? They were reused. The aluminum frames were crap, but the glass did not break. Okay? So like Nate said, be a wise consumer. Make sure you know what you're buying. Make sure what the standards are. But the lady who invented this stuff is a NASA scientist. She just retired this year. When the space shuttle came and they were doing testing for the space shuttle in reentry, they were having problems with the glass melting when it was reentering the atmosphere. Her job was to come up with a product or something to put on the glass windows of the space shuttle so that they wouldn't melt and kill the astronauts on the inside during reentry. She was working on it, and her husband was smart enough to patent it. He owns it, and they sell it to NASA. I have videos. We took a 24,000 degree plasma cutter on a SWAT team. They couldn't get through the glass. Y'all know plasma cutter cuts steel. They couldn't break the glass. They couldn't cut through the glass. Yeah, I got the video. I can show it to you. Not here, but because it's called EverSafe Security Solutions. It's $28 a square foot. It's about $450 to do a door on both sides. And they don't laminate one side, they laminate both sides. But he was exactly right. Doors, access control is where people enter. Here's a little video. I just wanted you to see I did this at the sheriff's department. This is the same thickness. It was a 1/4-inch piece of glass that I took out of the garbage can of Lowe's. It came out of they had a trailer, a shed. It's the window that came out of a shed, and the frame broke, so they threw it in the dumpster, and I asked, hey, can I have that? They gave it to me. They put the laminate on, and Just watch.
Here you go.
This is David swinging a baseball bat. Have at it.
Same demonstration you just saw. On strike number 8, he breaks the bat.
What's that noise?
That is
That's class. Look at that.
Oh, broke the bat.
now his kid can't play t-ball.
Look.
Bent the bat.
All right. If someone wants to grab that axe, we hit it with axes with the bricks. All we did was wipe the window off. It didn't crack. It didn't break. You saw it. Okay? Just be a good consumer. That's all I ask. And that company will write the grant for you so it doesn't cost you anything. Just be a good consumer. Yes? EverSafe Security Solutions. They're based out of Huntsville, Alabama, where NASA is. He travels all over the United States. My house is, full disclosure, I don't get any money from them, but as a courtesy, they bubble wrap my house. It'd be easier for you to take a jackhammer and go through the walls of my home than it would be to go through any of my glass. I accepted that free gift, but I don't get any commissions if you buy it. It's on 2,700 school districts in the United States. I told you my wife has a vested interest in that. And because her school, I wanted to make sure, at least with my research, we wanted to get the best product that we could get for her. Detection. By the way, like he said, if somebody can't get in, would that deter them from trying to get in? Oh, yeah. When they throw a rock and it hits them back in the head? Oh, that's a great video. Detection. So this is a camera system we put into a church, 228 cameras. But that's overwhelming, isn't it? It's not, because I believe the gentleman who's out there with the camera systems. I'm sure he has this technology. Have you ever heard of man tracking? All they do is when they spot someone that they suspect, they highlight them, and then they take their hands off the controls. And every screen, it follows them throughout the building the rest of the way. For those of you who have watched the cameras and you're trying to click, oh, I lost him. Click, and you've been frustrated, all done. Highlight it, put a box around them, and then take your hands off, and then call your team and say, yep, he's in the narthex. He just went in the sanctuary. He's over there in the bathroom. Hands off. Follows you anywhere throughout the building. Now, if you have a blind spot, it'll lose, and then you got to pick them back up again. But if you've got continuous coverage, it tracks for you, and I have no doubt. Again, I'm not here to sell products. I'm here to tell you what's out there, and it's not just good enough to have a security camera. You got to be able to use it. When we do training and we do scenario-based training with these safety teams, and they say, hey, we want to include our camera team. Great. You know what the biggest problem is? Is in the communication aspect is the delay. Because the people running the cameras, one of the scenarios we run is missing child. Missing child. We go back to the camera guy and say, roll the camera back 3 minutes to the last place the child will see. And some of you, do you even know how to roll the cameras back? Please, I'm not questioning your smartness. Have you been trained to rewind to locate the last place a child was seen and then roll it from there so you can tell the team, hey, I got eyes on right now. It's 3 minutes ago. They were right here. How much faster? And kids are never lost. It's the parents that are lost. We just need a little bit of help sometimes. Do you understand how important it is to be able to run the computer deck? You've got to be able to know how to use the technology. Technology is great. Can you use it? Or do you have a server that makes it so stupid-proof? No, that's for me. I'm computer stupid. But it makes it to where anybody can use it. That's the first biggest problem. You know what the second biggest problem is? You guys don't have a universal terminology for where things are. How many times has the camera person tried to send you to a location and you have no idea what they're talking about? How many stairwells does your church have? So again, we're not very smart in Tennessee. So what we did was we painted our stairwells different collegiate SEC colors. So I got the orange one. We got the Tennessee stairwell. We got the Alabama stairwell. We've got the Gamecock stairwell. We've got the A&M. We have different colors that for a stripe in the stairwell, we don't paint the stairwell black. We put a stripe on it to indicate which stairwell it is for the purposes of the guy on the camera system can say, hey, he's in the Tennessee stairwell. I know exactly where that is. And it guides you to it quicker. Does that make sense? When seconds count, police are minutes away. Don't forget that. Remember what he said? It's not police response, because as soon as we get the call, we get there as soon as humanly possible. What's the delay? It's the time calling it in. You have the same delay. The time it takes the guy on your cameras to communicate with you, where do I need to be? They're already gone. You're constantly behind the curve. Have a universal language on where each camera, or what hallway it is. Listen, if you go to my church and say it's the northwest hallway, I'll be like a monkey humping a football trying to find that location. I got no idea where the northwest hallway is. But if you've named it, and everybody knows the name, man, you get there so much faster. It's so much easier to communicate. And on the back of your lanyards, why not just have a schematic of your church or the hallways? And have it, if you do colors, color them. I've got a picture of ours right there in my bag, but it just makes it so much simpler to identify. Man, it's just a 3x5 card with the different 3x5 card that's laminated. This is all stuff you have in your church, but it's got our protocols. What to do in case of a bomb threat. What to do in case of a missing child. What to do in case of a domestic in the sanctuary. What to do with a disorderly person. What do I do if I have a patient, someone having a medical condition. And they're color-coded. Is it a medical issue or is it a violence issue? Man. Then fire alarm. How do I turn off the gas? How do I turn off the alarm? What if there's a leak, power failure? What do I do? Severe weather, tornado, where do we go? Just make it usable. It's in their back pocket. Or it's on their lanyard. So when they communicate, when you're communicating, this is where I need you to be, it's at their fingertips. Does that make sense? Check-in and out process. It blows my mind that churches still don't have check-in and out processes for children's ministries. Blows my mind. Okay? We still go under the impression, we know the family. What is, according to the Chief of Police magazine, what is the number one time and day for domestic violence in America? It's that after Saturday night, Sunday morning. Make sense? What is the least staffed day for law enforcement? Unless you spent the night at their house, you do not know them. That's the truth. You do not know what's going on in their family. And is it not true that people don't want to tell you about domestic violence or problems they're having in the family because they feel like a failure? So stop telling me we know them, and that's how happened to us, our church, lesson learned. 26 years ago, Dad would drop off little Johnny, Mom would pick up, Mom would drop off little Johnny, Dad would pick him up. Mom dropped off little Johnny one day. We did not know they had a domestic. She had an order of protection against him. She did not tell anybody. Dad came 15 minutes early. By the way, no sign in and out process because we were a country church. We knew everybody. Dad came 15 minutes early, which was a little bit unusual, but it was still Dad, and we know Dad. We gave little Johnny to Dad. Dad took little Johnny 3 states over. Who paid for all of the attorney's fees and the 9 months of waiting to reunite little Johnny with Mama? The church did. Because of a term called loco parentis. It's Latin for in lieu of the parents. When you accept a child, you are the decision-making you have all the decision-making responsibilities for that child, for health, for well-being, for security and safety. It is your responsibility. And because we were not using best practices under the reasonableness standards set in America, it is not reasonable to not have a check-in, verifiable check-in and check-out process for a child in today. This was 26 years ago. We were out of best practices, we were liable. And it took, because Dad was being a real blank, it's his right to have a hearing in every county back to where we live. And it took almost 9 months to reunite Mama and Johnny. Do you think they ever came back to our church? Nope. If you can't get people in your church to be convinced because of they don't want to make it difficult for people to drop their kids off, they want to make it convenient, tell them it could cost us everything. Hit them with the financial aspect and the litigation aspect. See if that doesn't tie a knot into them. It's too cheap and easy to have some type of process. You get 800 stickers on Amazon, 800 stickers for $88 that have a number, sticker and the name goes on the child, the parents have their stickable number. It's too cheap and easy not to do. Don't get caught. When you have post orders, when you have people working, is there some type of written expectation? Is there some type of written expectation? What do you expect when they're standing there? Okay? Even if it's simple, you need to write out that expectation, because if they're not doing what you expect, they don't have anything to gauge it on. Does that make sense? People will do what you ask them to do, but they just need to know what to do. And then for consistency, when you have people you're training in to backfill the team, they need to know what the responsibilities are. Even if it's 1 or 2 sentences, have a responsibility at each post position. What do we expect of you? Just greet people, shake their hands, love on everybody, but be vigilant. Look out for anything that's aberrant behavior. That could be the post instructions. Just be present. Or we need you to make sure that you're armed and ready and you're standing at the bottleneck, the choke point for the children's ministry, and nobody without a sticker or where the child can go without. Whatever your post orders are, have them written. And also, if anything goes wrong, you have something to defend. Okay? For all of you officers, for all of you military and you operators and special operations group people, what is the most important aspect of every operation? Well, say again? Commo, communication. What is the number one failure in every operation? Communication. The most important thing that we do is the first thing that fails. You've got to have radios. You've got to know how to talk on those radios. You've got to be able to communicate with people. The other part of that is get a Signal app and put your whole team on one app, on one thread, I think they call that. And when you have something going on in the church, I only have to put one message out. Or when you take a picture of someone who doesn't look right or they're not acting right, take a picture of it and you just have to send it out to one person. You don't have to scroll down. The whole team needs to be on that text stream. And if you have a safety or a medical team, they're on another. They could either be on the same one or they could have a separate one. But one message goes out to the entire team versus you texting it out 15 times. What a waste of time. Whether it's Signal or GroupMe, I don't care. I use Signal because it's encrypted. Have you talked to other churches that are around you within an 8-10 mile radius and said, hey, can we partner up with you if you have some? Because do you know if someone goes to one church and they get deterred or they're going to come to another one. And they're going to come to another one. On Easter Sunday, the church across the street saw 4 Middle Eastern looking people staying in the parking lot, walking around, never going in. Then they left. They texted us immediately. Man, it's this vehicle. They came in 4 separate vehicles, and there were 4 people. They were obviously together, but all separate. They ended up in our parking lot, trying to get into our building, testing our security procedures. We would not have known if they hadn't communicated with us. Partner up with other churches that are within reasonable vicinity of you. And I'm not talking about getting their pastors involved. That's like having a deacon meeting. Call their security director and say, hey, man, let's talk. Let's communicate together. If you have a problem, let us know. If we have a problem, we're going to let you know. Man, we've got to be able to communicate. Use plain language. The days of 10 codes, they're too complicated. And when you have new people on the team, and here's the example. In hospitals, Dr. Smith is getting the red file. Dr. Smith is getting the red file. That's an act of violence somewhere in there. Who is Dr. Smith? What if it's your first day there? You have no idea what they're saying. Or code blue. What's code blue? You know what? People say, we use code so we don't startle people. Do you not think if gunfire's going off, they're already startled? Hey, shooter in the lobby. Plain language. Tell me exactly what you want me to know and exactly where I need to be. Stop making up cute 10 codes. You are delaying their ability to respond. And every shot that was fired, someone just died. Make it simple. And also, don't share your shopping lists on the text streams and on the radio. It's for emergency communication. If you want to talk to somebody, call them on the phone or text them privately. Whoops. All right. Universal terms. Man, I'm all about best practices because remember, I do expert testimony. And if you're under best practices and using national standards, we win. If you start making stuff up, then I got to justify why is that a thing. Universal terms, schools, they're using these, okay? Secure. They just changed secure last year. It used to be lock out and lock down, right? Lock out was, their reasoning is if there was something going on in law enforcement, they were in a pursuit, they wanted to call all the schools and churches within a 3-mile radius to say, hey, there's no problem, just lock down your school or your church. We just don't want them, if they get in a foot pursuit, to come into your building. The problem is people got confused with lock out and lock down. It's too close. That make sense? They changed lock down or lock out to secure. That just simply means, hey guys, something's going on outside of our control, outside of our property. Just bring everyone inside, lock the doors, business as usual, there's no panic. Secure, real simple. Obviously, lockdown is lights, locks, lights, quiet, and out of sight. It's whatever your protocol is for active shooter. That's lockdown. Evacuate, okay? Where is your unification point? So something that I harp on with people is your unification point is so important. When I do an SBA, I interview your teachers and your volunteers because I don't know what they don't know. They don't know what they don't know. I ask them 3 simple questions. One of them just happens to be, if you had to evacuate for any reason, where would you take your kids? We go in the parking lot. Okay. Then I go to the next year. Where would you take your kids? We go in the field right behind there. Okay. Go to the next teacher. Where would you take your kids? We go behind the barn over here on the right side of the building. Okay. If I talk to 8 people, I will probably get 4 to 5 different locations. What's the problem with that? Okay. First of all, if you're in the parking lot, where's emergency equipment going to go? Now you're in a problem. Get out of the way. Get out of the parking lots. There's no reason to be in the parking lots. Second thing is, if I'm a parent looking for my kid, and I go to spot 1 and little Johnny's not there, and then I go to spot 2 and little Johnny's not there, and then I'm going to spot 3, what's my brain thinking? My little Johnny's still in the building because I haven't found him yet. I'm going to show you and talk to you about the national standard for evacuation, but you need to develop one reunification point if you can. And I'll explain to you how to do it in just a minute when I get to that slide. But making sure everyone is on the same page for reunification. Okay?
Count how many times
do what it tells you.
Players wearing white pass the basketball.
If you know what this is, keep your pie hole shut.
How many passes did you count? The correct answer is 15 passes. But did you see the gorilla?
So, full disclosure, first time I counted 14 passes, I missed the gorilla. Who here didn't see the gorilla? Yeah, because we were doing something that made us focus on something other than the gorilla coming in between, beating us. I had a lady say, that is not what I saw. Play it back again. It turned out to be the same video. She absolutely said that gorilla wasn't there. Is it possible that if we are focused on something other than what we're supposed to be doing, the gorilla can sneak up and bite us right in the keister? You can't stop what you can't see. This was a study done out of the University of Cincinnati. It's just an attention study. That's all it was. Can we be distracted? Okay? You can't stop what you can't see. Empower your people through through verbal de-escalation to challenge unknown individuals that are in areas they shouldn't be. And I don't mean challenge like, what are you doing here? You know what the easiest way to talk to somebody is? Ask a question. How may I help you? Then shut up. It is the most general thing you could possibly say to somebody, but you've got to wait for a response because their response will direct you exactly where you need to go. Either, hey, they just took a wrong turn, or they don't need to be here. How may I help you? Does that make sense? How may I help you? Just ask that question and then determine on what goes on after that depending on what they say. Yesterday, Jimmy said when we prayed, and you know, we bow our heads and close our eyes out of reverence, and I understand, or out of tradition, but I'd never heard it said like he said it. Boy, I can't get enough of me some Jimmy Meeks. I just can't. I can listen to that man talk forever, and sometimes he does talk forever. I dare you, go give him your personal phone number. You'll be getting a new phone pretty soon. No, I'm just kidding. I love, I said, why are we praying to our Father but looking at the devil? Isn't that interesting? I'd never heard it said that way. But y'all, one of my favorite stories in the Bible is Gideon, right? Judges 6 and 7. When Jesus was teaching tactics, our God was teaching tactics back 6,000 years ago. If you remember the story. I'm not going to go through the Bible because you all know it, but in the end, when Gideon had 32,000 farmers, and the angel said, whosoever, by the way, when the Bible says the angel of the Lord, and the Lord is capitalized, who is it? It's him himself, right? So the Lord appeared to Gideon and said, whoever's in fear, this is too many people for me, he didn't say me, but for God to get the glory of this victory. Whoever's in fear, send him home. So 10 or 12,000 went home, and they still had 10,000, and then the Lord said, send them all down to that brook. And whoever sticks their face and laps the water, send them home. But whoever cups it and brings it up to their eyes, those are your warriors. Do you have that situational awareness? God was teaching that 6,000 years ago. There's nothing weak about our God. He's a warrior, and he loves us. Be aware. When I had a gentleman, he gave me his card. Luke Blazer, he's a retired lieutenant. He has a security team at his church that are rock stars. And he said, man, we had a homeless guy with a great big bag try to come in maybe last Sunday or the Sunday before. We were able to we spotted him, we stopped him, we vetted him, and they dealt with it. Man, that's fantastic. People say, how do I know who to let in and who not to let in? That is personal. But I'm going to tell you in the Gospel by Ken, found in the book of Hesitation, and it's right after Philip 66. What I train my safety team is just simply, if it's not good enough, if they're not good enough to sit next to your wife and kids, they're not good enough. They're not safe enough to sit with anybody. Does that make sense? If they're not safe for me or my own, they ain't coming in. Now, how do you vet that? Well, if they're intoxicated, doesn't mean I don't bring the pastor out to pray with them. It just means I can't control intoxicated. You have to make that judgment or that determination. But our philosophy is just meet them, greet them, and seat them, or not. Meet them with that love and shaking that hand and welcome to the church. But if you determine there is something wrong, and I'm not comfortable with them sitting next to my wife, why would you put them next to somebody else's? Bring someone out to pray with them, worship with them, if they need help. But maybe that's not the best time for them to come in the middle of your sanctuary. If you do let them in, make sure that you are sitting behind and at an angle on where you can see their right side. Why? Because 87% of the population of the world is right-handed. There's a 13% chance you might mess it up, but I'll take the 87%. And I want to sit directly behind him at an angle, not next to him, not in front of him, but behind him at an angle where I can see what's going on, so I'm close enough, not 3 rows back, right behind him at an angle. Okay? This is one of our clients. We talked about spotting, seeing, and making that determination if they're safe. This is the children's building in Bremen, Georgia. And one of the pastors sees this, look at the top left corner. Gentleman's walking towards the kids. The pastor cuts him off. And he positions himself right there, and he's talking to him. And he's asking him, hey man, look, did Jimmy not describe that position yesterday? Yep. Body angled, hands up, talking. Determine the guy asking just simple questions. This is not appropriate for you to be in our children's building. So, but what would happen if he did not pay attention? Maybe nothing, or maybe something tragic. But at least he was physically there to spot it and do something. Everything we do is for those who can't defend themselves. Don't ever forget that. Training. Your team must train together. I know a lot of us say, well, I've got people on my team who are law enforcement and they don't need to train with us. That's hogwash. You ask any of the officers in the room, most of the cats, and I'm not pointing any, I trained police for 26 years. Man, there's 5 or 10% that are actually operator guys, that are really good cats, that really want to train. Okay? Most of them hate training because they got to clean their gun. The giggles are probably coming from the police. In service, the first question they ask me is, hey, when do we get out of here? What time's lunch? Not, hey, can you show me that technique? Maybe the reason they don't come to training is they want you to believe who they are through reputation versus showing you who they really are. You understand? Or we got officers from the federal agencies and highly trained CAT SWAT teams from 4 or 5 different counties that come to our church. That's fantastic. But every one of those agencies and every one of those SWAT teams have different techniques and different ways to do something. You do not know how to act as a team at your location. You've got to work together. So I want to know the guy next to me can really carry the mail. I want to see him do it. I want to know that he can shoot and qualify just like I can. I want to know that when we go into this room without having to speak, I know exactly, is he going to go right or he's going to go left? If you don't come to training, you don't know what your partner's going to do. And you may be the king of the hill where you're from, but your techniques may be different from what the church is doing, and then everything's out of balance. If the only reason you don't come to training is because you don't want to, shame on you. Shame on you. The church is paying money to have someone come in and train you. How disrespectful it is for you to just squander that. What's wrong with getting a little bit of training or more training? And listen, even if you don't agree 100% with what you're being, maybe you learn one thing from that training. You take one thing away, you've learned something, it's been worth your time. And the support, the team building, the guys on the team who aren't law enforcement, man, when you're sweating and bleeding and doing the same stuff next to them, how much more respect do they have for you? You are not better than anybody else. Listen, I have got civilians that will run circles around 90% of the police officers that I have in my department, that I had. I'm retired. They are incredible. One's a Grand Master. He's not a police officer, a USPCA. He will outshoot you and make your head spin. He doesn't have the tactical knowledge, but boy, he's got the ability. He's learning the tactical knowledge. But there's nothing wrong with being a civilian, especially if you just want to train. Show up. Your team needs to see you doing it. I don't care who you are or what your reputation is. you need to show up. It's cohesive, unified plan. You'll learn the same communication, the same language. We talked about Signal app for communication. Let's see what's the next one here. Why is deter and detection so important? You know, when we evaluate an incident, please understand our heart. As trainers, we're not here to talk bad about any incident, but we're here to dive into it, to dissect it, and to learn from it. If we don't learn from it, what are we doomed to do? Isn't that the definition of insanity? Okay? So when we talk about the White Texas settlement, I told you some great things that the most unequipped, the least equipped guy did. He saved everybody just because the Lord put on his heart what to do. But in his statement that he made to the news media, and it's on the internet, you could read it, he says, "From the moment he breached the door, we deemed him a threat." What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that statement? Nobody was outside. Now, remember what he looked like. He's 42 years old, 6 foot, I think he's 6'1" male white, with black Rastafarian hair, dreadlocks, black Rastafarian dreadlock beard, a coat larger, too thick for the temperature of the area. Okay? Are you telling me if you weren't in the parking lot and you see that coming towards you, that would not be a red flag? Then what would you say? How would you listen? Jimmy said you have a chance to practice PED or verbal de-escalation every time you talk to somebody. I go a step further. My wife thinks I'm crazy. I talk to myself all the time. I have conversations because I think of questions people, and I want to be able to immediately have a response, because that moment of puzzlement while I'm thinking of an answer is a very dangerous place for me to be, for you as well. Think about, what would you say to a guy dressed in a costume walking in to your church? How would you engage that without, one, escalating it and maybe getting hurt right there? How would you do it? So I'm one of those guys, I think out of the box. Shake his hand. Fortunately, hopefully I'm occupying his right hand. Stand to the side and say, "Hey man, are you here to do a reenactment or some type of a play for our kids today?" That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, but what does it do? It makes his brain start thinking. And if he says yes, well, you know, we don't have that scheduled on the church, so you know he's lying, right? But you ask a question because of the way they're dressed, something that's benign, that's an absolute lie, to see what they'd say. This happened at my church. We had two guys in a white Honda Accord pull in, and they had a telephoto lens, and they were taking pictures. So we had 1,741 kids at Vacation Bible School this year, 900 volunteers, and 1,741 kids. We go into neighborhoods and we bust kids in. Man, we want to reach the kids. So we had people with a telephoto lens taking pictures of the kids. Okay? So they said, Pastor calls, says, "Ken, I need you to do something with that." So I walked over to him and said, "Hey man, are you the marketing company our pastor hired to take photos of our kids for Vacation Bible School?" They said, "Yeah, that's us." We didn't hire a marketing company. I knew instantly they were lying, right? But what a stupid question. But was it really? And then I said, "Which pastor are you dealing with?" I gave him just a second, because they might have looked up on the internet who our pastor was. I said, "Was it Pastor Clark?" They said, "Yeah, we don't have Pastor Clark. He's the pastor of a church I do in Sevierville." Okay? And they said, "Hey, stand by real quick." So I walked to the back of his car, and I went, "Tick, tick." How long do you think it took them to get out of my parking lot? I didn't ask him to get out. Don't do that, because they might be 6'9". You don't know. That car's a coffin. Let them stay in that. Why did I take pictures? Because when I call the police department and say there are two male whites in a four-door white sedan, a Honda Accord, that is the most popular car, make and model in America. What good does that do when I have 600,000 people in our city? But when I give them the picture of a license plate and then a photo of the two guys in the car, now they can do something with it. Does that make sense? There's no expectation of privacy in the public. If they're in your parking lot, you can take pictures of them, videos of them all day. There's not a gosh darn thing they can do about it. Use your phones. Use your technology. But you can think out of the box when you're dealing with a potential threat. Okay? This is the whole 42 seconds. He is in this back corner. This is the second. I'm going to play it in just a second. He is located. I'm trying to get my thing to. Ooh, it's not showing on the screen. The top right corner, not the corner, but the top right. The man holding the communion tray. Okay, he's sitting 2 rows. So the suspect's sitting 2 rows in front. He will get up, and it's the second time he gets up, and he tells. You'll see him point to. He points to him to say, "Go talk to him." The guy assigned to protect, to watch this guy is the man sitting in the pew. He is Jack Wilson's best friend and training partner. Okay. When I do this 39 learning points of this video, I break down every aspect of it in tenths of a second. From the moment he sees the weapon, it takes him 3.5 seconds to find his gun. I'll explain why in just a second. Watch the video. So this is the second time he gets up. The good news is, what did all the people do? They got down, which is what we want them to do. It's a natural instinct. It's what the human physiology will make you do. Now all the guns come out. The problem is I have still pictures of people lasering each other, and I have one lady using her pistol as a pointer wand telling the kids where to go. I swear, I've got the picture. She's pointing at the kids and using her pistol to point them and get them to go in that direction. Okay? Why did it take him 3.5 seconds? Jack Wilson, he's in tears telling me the story. It's his best. Hold on a second. You're exactly right. There's more to that. And there's one more thing. So the trifecta of things that could go wrong went wrong. This was December 29th. What happened 4 days earlier? His best friend and training partner brings a box and says, "Guys, look what my daughter bought me for Christmas." He opens it up. There's a pistol still in that, that cheesy, greasy wrap? And he pulls it out, and he shows a gun he's never fired, never loaded, never manipulated, never sighted in. He shows him a beautiful gun. The point is not the gun. The point is brand new gun. Then he says, and he pulls out a brand new leather holster, custom-made holster that is an SOB. I'm not cursing. What does that stand for? Smaller back, right? For all of you shooters, what happens when you put a brand new gun in a brand new holster and you shove it in, and a leather holster? Good luck getting it out. Good luck. And so he got a brand new gun that he's never fired, never sighted in, never manipulated. He put it in a holster that he's never drawn from and never broken in a position that he's never carried. He always carried 3 o'clock. He spent 3.5 seconds going and then trying to. And when he finally located it, it was too late. Don't let that be you. I'm not a fan of the SOB carry only because 90% of what I do is sitting down. That means I'm sitting against my gun. If I'm driving, I'm sitting down and against the gun and I got a seatbelt on. How am I ever going to get to it? I carry mostly appendix carry. It depends how I'm dressed. This is it. It's either this or this. It's the only two. You'll never catch me in a different way. It's either here or there. It's never further back than 3 o'clock. And all my support gear's on the other side. But train how you carry. And if you switch it up, man, it takes 700 draw strokes to start developing conscious competence, not unconscious competence. 700 draw strokes just to start creating myelination in the brain. By the way, there's no such thing as muscle memory. Muscles are elastic. They have no memory. They just bounce back to where they came. You're myelinating a pathway through your brain, and the more you do it, the bigger the pathway gets. And every time you do it wrong, you've just created another pathway. So it's not practice makes perfect. It's perfect. Practice makes perfect. Okay? Train your volunteers and your people, the staff people that work in the children's ministry, so they're on the same page as you, so they become an asset and not a vulnerability. Does that make sense? If they don't know what your procedures are, they don't know what they're supposed to do, in conjunction with what you're supposed to do, and something critical happens, you might be fighting against each other versus everybody being on the same page. Of course, you got the national standard of run, hide, fight. Run, where are you going to run to? What I was talking about, the national standard is time, distance, shielding. Time, can I get to I want a unified relocation point for everybody in the church, whether it's bomb threat, whether it's fire, evac, whatever it is, one place, so everybody knows where to pick up their kids. Time, can I get there in a reasonable amount of time? Distance, here's the big one, 300 feet away. Why? Because I used to be a bomb tech. Within 300 feet, radio or those transmissions can set off an electronic device. So 300 foot, you want to be 300 feet away. And then finally, shielding. Do you guys have maybe a building or trees or woods or some kind of an elevation change that if something did happen would catch or just deflect shrapnel? Time, distance, shielding is a national standard that you will never go wrong with for a unified relocation point for everybody to be able to go to. Does that make sense? Hide. The Webster's definition of hiding is a place to conceal myself for safety. If you don't have a lock on the door, you cannot hide. Locked doors save lives. Here's the problem with a lot of churches that I go into, and I want you to evaluate this at your church. Are the locks keyhole locked? Or do they have a push button or a twist knob inside that door? Most of you, because of fire code, you have a lock that has a key that has to be turned on the outside, but you don't have a key, any type of a device on the inside that locks the door. Do you all know what I'm talking about? Yes. How many people have a key to that door? Usually the director and maybe one other person. Do your individual teachers have a lock on the door? I'm sorry, do the individual teachers have a key? No, they do not. Most of them, they don't. I don't want to speak most of the time, they do not have a key to that door. Is your director during gunfire going on or a critical incident going on in the church, are they going to be so brave to run down and lock every single one of those doors before they worry about themselves? No. If you're wondering, no. Say what you want, they're not going to do it. Because self-preservation will kick in. Now you have no locked doors. Pre-lock. If that is the case, pre-lock those doors. And the doors can be, listen, the doors can be chalked open. You don't have to have class in a closed room. You don't have to. But if the doors are pre-locked, if anything happens and you get the radio signal to lock down or secure, all they got to do is kick the stanchion down, the door's shut and it's already locked. You got nothing to worry about. There's no fine motor skills that have to take place. Pre-lock the doors. Instantaneously, everybody in that room is now safe. Man, if you've got a 1 3/4 inch solid core door with metal framing, it'll take us, listen, I was the RAM guy on the team. Man, it'll take 3 or 4 minutes. And bad guys don't bring rams. They don't bring Halligan tools. Let them kick it with their foot. They'll break their foot. Let them hit their shoulder. They won't be picking that arm up. They ain't getting in. You got to find a way to expeditiously lock the doors. Fight. Speed. A surprise, speed, and violence of action. One of the great things is when we can empower our female staff to know that they don't have to be a victim, it's unbelievable how much confidence and what it does outside of church. I don't have time, but the lady that was sitting right there, I was going to have her come up and I was going to demo. I can make you 30% stronger in 3 minutes without going to the gym. I can make everybody in here 30% stronger in 3 minutes without going to the gym. It's about biomechanics. I can prove it. I can make, again, I don't have the time, but it'll blow your mind how that translates into fighting. Just by how you position your body. If anybody wants to see, I'll show it to them on a break. But Teach them how to fight and empower them. Listen, watching a video on active shooter response, you've not learned a gosh darn thing and you've wasted 45 minutes. It's got to be interactive. Teach them where to stand at an intersection or where the door's going to open. Teach them if they see the listen, if they see the barrel of the rifle because the shooter's got to open the door, how many hands he's got on the gun? One. He's got a pistol. He's opening the door. How many hands he got on the pistol? One. Man, using angles and biomechanics. When I have a 17-year-old girl that can disarm you and then beat the dog crap out of you with a smile on her face, you have no idea how empowering it is for the rest of their lives. Check out some of these videos real quick. Oh, why does fighting work? Fighting works because it messes up the OODA loop in the suspect. They do not expect resistance. They think you are sheep led to slaughter. And then when you turn the tables on them, listen, when I was the security for Jason Aldean after the Vegas shooting, when he was in the hotel sobering up, we were going from the venue to finding a level 1 trauma hospital. We were running 3 routes. We were learning 3 routes to the hospital in case something bad happened. We had to be able to, if route 1 was blocked, we had a tertiary route. If route 2 was blocked, we had another route. But that's how we think. They don't think that way. Their plan is, I'm going to breach this door, I'm going to shoot everybody I can, and then I'm going to die in the process. But then they meet resistance. And their brain has to process, what do I do now? And when you see them fight, it is impossible to aim when you're being beaten to death. If anybody believe me, you volunteer to get in the suit. And let me pick 2 women, and they will beat you unmercilessly. And there's no way you can carry out your mission. Why does fighting work? This is the University of Southern Pacific University in Seattle, Washington. He's in the Student Union Center. He's already shot 3 people outside. This young lady was living in condition white. She comes down the stairs. He has a 20-gauge double-barrel shotgun with birdshot. I have no idea why he picked that, but thank God, because he shot her in the shoulder. You see, she's bleeding. She's in shock. He's reloading. But this young man hears the noise. He says, I don't know what they're saying, but I'm not going to let you hurt my kids. He grabs the rifle. Look at all the shotgun shells that fall out of his pocket. He was going to hammer some people if you didn't stop him. The young man puts the shotgun away, but then the turd bird says, oh, he's gone. I'm going to reach for my secondary backup gun. He reaches into his waistband, pulls out his pistol. But the young man says, you want more? Boom! Now he puts him in a rear naked choke. He knocks the gun down, and now he's screaming, help me, somebody help me. And then some man saunters down with no urgency, and he says, hey, great job, let me kick this gun out of the way. Well done. Listen, dude, you got a chance to take out a little bit of righteous indignation. Somebody's been killing your kids, you take a chair over your head, and you just start beating the piss out of them. These are high school girls that volunteer at our church. First girl's job is the rifle. She doesn't get it, but the second girl does. They pin it.
All right, girls. Help! Get the gun! Get the gun! Get the gun! Yes!
They're standing for a reason at that door because the barrel's the first thing to be seen. These girls here weren't even going to let them in the room. Listen to the cheering. They're excited to do this stuff.
Get the gun! Yeah!
Oh, let's see. Oh. All right, here we go. This chick's funny. I had to mute. She said some nasty words, but we're fine. That's a live blank round going off. They got to hear what does the sound of gunfire sound like.
There you go. Go for it. Get that gun.
Watch what she does at the end. Here we go. Righteous indignation. Here's a single lady, 5'1". Now she's a jiu-jitsu practitioner. Watch the leg lock she puts on his arm. Puts him in an arm bar. Here she goes. She wraps the leg over. Oh, she pulls back. Broken wrist or elbow or let go of the rifle. This guy's 6'9". I'm so glad I wasn't in the suit this day. He watches WWE.
Alex, come to kill you.
Boom. Watch this. Here we go. Ah! How can you shoot anybody when you're doing that? This is just for your viewing pleasure. Watch this is me, and watch what she does to me. The lady in the maroon. Watch her close. I'm getting mauled. Watch this. Watch this. Here it goes. Ow! They're excited. Stop thinking you're going to scare them. They're excited to get a chance to realize I don't have to be a victim. There is nothing weak about our women who are volunteering or our girls that are volunteering. We just haven't given them a chance to show how strong they can be. Now when they go to the store, now when they go to the movies, or now when they're somewhere, they get a chance. If they see a threat, at least they know where to go or how to avoid it. They don't just have to be a statistic. Train your people to be on the same page as you. You are not that important that you're the only people that need to know the plan. Everybody needs to be a part of the plan. So the last thing I got for you. Meekness. Define meekness for me. How would you define it? Passive. Okay. What'd you say? Giving up. Weak. Strength under control. Okay. Unfortunately, in our society, we have sissified the word meekness. Let me tell you the origin of the word meekness. It's a Greek word. The word is preos in the Greek. Let me tell you, the definition is strength under control, steadfastness, the ability to stay calm under the direction of a rider, trained to not allow the emotion of the situation to dictate a fearful response, battle ready. That is the definition of meekness. When the Hellenists were training their horses for battle, they were simulating wartime events because horses were throwing the riders and riders were getting their arms and their legs broken. So they had to control the horses. So the final exam for a horse to be declared meek or preos was the rider was on its back. They would take a flaming torch and they would pass it under the belly of the horse and sear its hair. And if the horse stayed calm and under the control of its rider, it was declared preos, meek. When you're the sheepdog, there's nothing weak about us. We must be meek and have that battle ready, strength under control, but be able to present a warm, loving environment, culture of the church. We want to bring you to Jesus, but we also want to have the wisdom and discernment to be able to spot that threat before it comes in. And then we have to have the confidence to know we can deal with it before if bad does happen. Preos. Battle ready. Go take a break.